In this video, we'll be listing all the inaccuracies in the weapons of Call of Duty Black Ops 6's multiplayer beta. Before starting, it's worth mentioning that due to a whole panoply of legal nonsense we shan't get into here, Activision isn't actually allowed to make Call of Duty's guns accurate. For educational purposes though, and to provide a reference for other developers, we're pointing out the inaccuracies anyway. Also, a lot of these inaccuracies are anachronisms, so for reference, it's worth mentioning that Black Ops 6 takes place in 1991.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky.
The long barrel attachment is loosely based on the Stechkin APS's slide. This is completely illogical, as the APS uses a completely different system to the PM, with which the PM would not be compatible. Notably, the fire selector, the position of the lower receiver, and the rear sight are completely different compared to the real Stechkin slide. The short barrel converts the gun into a Makarov PB, but it's inaccurately depicted with a threaded barrel, whereas the real suppressor uses a locking lug with a thread to attach to the barrel. The CHF barrel and gain twist barrel are fictional custom slides. The weapon's model itself appears to be a kit bash of several Makarov derivatives, with parts ranging from the ISH 7990 Makarich to the Soviet PMM. The magazine's floor plate is much flatter and more rounded compared to the actual Makarov's more triangular floor plate. The mag release is depicted as a triangular button. In real life, it's a lever. The hammer is skeletonized here, when in real life it's solid. The front slide serrations are completely fictional. The compensator attachment is based on the barrel weight of the USP match variant, but is incorrectly shown with a roofed compensator. The real one has an open top. The markings on the decocker and safety have been replaced with white lines. The long barrel attachment appears to be completely fictional. The gain twist barrel equips the gun with a slide based on the Elite variant, but with the barrel length of the Expert variant's 5.19-inch barrel. Conversely, the reinforced barrel equips a slide styled after the Expert's, but with the Elite's 6.1-inch barrel. The CHF barrel appears to be entirely fictional. The ported compensator appears to be a Wilson Combat multi-comp bushing compensator, appearing nearly 2 decades too early, as it was introduced in the late 2000s. The Jackal PDW is based on the Gepard PDW, which wasn't developed until about 4 to 6 years after this game's events. Not only that, it was also never actually put into service, which makes its use by the CIA and Rogue Black Ops spurious at best. It's inaccurately depicted with an AK-74 style muzzle brake. It should have an AKS-74U styled one, or its own proprietary compensator. Weirdly enough, the long barrel is based on the PP Bison, even though the civilian version of the Gepard actually already has a long barrel that can easily be attached to the Select Fire variant. This one is less an inaccuracy per se and more like a wasted opportunity. The real-life Gepard is compatible with a multitude of different cartridges, only requiring changes to the recoil springs, bolt, and barrel. This is not showcased in-game in any way. The reinforced barrel uses the handguard from the AS Val. The short barrel is based on an MP5K handguard, identifiable by the pinhole. The extended Mag 2 attachment is based on the 80-round magazine of a Makarov, with which the Gepard was not compatible, despite using the same ammunition. It's also underloaded, holding only 50 rounds rather than the full 80. The C9 is a converted civilian Heckler & Koch HK94A3, identifiable by the lack of a mag release paddle and its barrel length. It also incorporates several features from the SetMe Model LC, specifically the stock mount and charging handle. The gain twist barrel is based on the handguard of the SetMe Model L. The long barrel is actually missing the pin that holds the handguard in place, meaning it's apparently glued to the barrel? Otherwise it'd just be inches from falling off. The MP5's drum mag is based on the X-Products 50-round X5 MP5 drum mag from the 2010s. Much like in Modern Warfare 2 and 3, the front sight has been cut in half, potentially inspired by custom SP5 front sights modifications. However, this would make it at best anachronistic and at worst completely incorrect. The CHF barrel is based on the ARMS Incorporated SIR Systems handguard, which wasn't commercially available until the early 2000s. It also lacks the rail parts that go above the upper receiver to actually hold the handguard in place, meaning that this also must be glued on. The rear sight is too wide and large for the sight protectors. These protectors are meant to shield the rear sight from damage caused by bumps or if the rifle is dropped. Similarly, the short barrel is based on the Olympic Arms K23B, which was also released in the early 2000s. Surprisingly though, these tube fiberglass handles date back to the 1950s during the development of the AR-10. However, the reinforced barrel cut for the sight post and brass screw inserts for accessories were inspired by a modification from a gentleman named Jeff Cramblett for JSOC in the late 90s and early 2000s. At some point, Armalite began producing factory front sight post-cut versions with pressed accessory screws, However, by the time this happened, they were already being replaced by the CAC-MRE rail, which was considered a much better option. The long barrel for the AK-74 is based on the Ironwood's design Molot Vepr handguards from the early 2000s, alongside imports of the Molot Vepr to the US. The fire selector switch is all wrong. In-game, the rifle fires fully automatic from the safe position and semi-automatic from the fully automatic position. The CHF barrel is based on the AK-105, which wouldn't be prototyped until 1994. The piston cover also interfaces incorrectly with the front sight block. The reinforced barrel is based on the STG-951's handguard with vent holes, resembling a similar handguard from the QBZ-03. Weirdly enough though, it uses the gas tube and front sight block from the East German MPI AKS-74NK. The muzzle brake isn't actually a muzzle brake, it's a 3-prong flash hider. Before we continue, this video is sponsored by Skywoods flashlights. Skywoods specializes in top-notch high-performance flashlights that are designed to withstand the toughest conditions. From underwater to dense woodland and beyond, they provide powerful illumination when you need it most. With various models offering different brightness levels and features, Skywoods has the perfect flashlight for your needs. So, whether you're an outdoors enthusiast looking for something rugged, or putting together a search and rescue kit, or need something to keep the way ahead of you lit up while diving, Skywoods has you covered. Links are in the description if you want to find out more. And with that, let's get back to the complaints. In this section, we'll be discussing attachments that are available for multiple weapons, for instance scopes and grips. The lightweight foregrip is based on the folding foregrip of the SR2 Veresk, which was designed in 1999. The Ranger foregrip seems to be a chopped version of an XM148 grenade launcher grip, and the Marksman foregrip seems to be a chopped version of a BS1 grenade launcher grip. The OM392 Holo seems to be a mashup of an EOTech-esque holographic sight and a 1P87 sight. Both of these elements are anachronistic in their own right. The Bushnell Holo sight, which was the first iteration of the EOTech, was released in 1996, and holographic sights didn't even become common in the US military until the 2000s. Russian holographic sights like the 1P87 appeared even later in 2014. The Volsky reflex appears to be an OKP-7, which was introduced in the 2000s. The Redwell reflex is a Trigicon reflex 1x24, which was introduced in 1996. The Otero Microdot is based on the Zeiss Z-Point, which was only made in 2003 to 2004. The Merlin Mini seems to be inspired by either a Holosun 510C without its protective shroud, or other red dots like the Ultradot Pan AV. In any case, these red dots only appeared in the late 1990s to early 2000s. The prismatic reflex is literally just a scope ring that's somehow been turned into a reflex sight. The vertical foregrip is based on the Knight's Armament vertical grip from 1997. The extended Mag 3 attachment is based on Beta C mags, which were pitched in 1987 but rejected by the US Army for being too unreliable. The extended Mag 2 is based on the Surefire Mag 560 from 2010. The PrismaPoint hybrid secondary sight appears to be a SIG Romeo 3 Max, which was released in 2019. The Kepler Microflex is based on the Ultradot Pan AV, which wasn't released until the 2000s. The Precision Grip is based on the Clay Zion Battle Foregrip. Clay Zion didn't even form until 2009. The Willis 3X is based on the Colt scope, but has an incorrect reticle. The reticle should look like the one shown on screen now. And that is all for this video. Thank you very much for watching, thank you to Skywoods for sponsoring this video, and thank you for watching. Be sure to check out my channel as well for more nitpicking of completely harmless media. Leave a comment if you like it, leave a comment if you didn't like it, either way, it means a lot to us. Until next time, ta-ta!